Finally, we're going to see what's going on with this hidden mansion of Kinzo's.
先ほどから呼んでおる。聞こえなんだか?
So, Beatrice, huh?
そうであったか。すまぬ。ぼんやり考え事をしていた。
Her voice is different. Her manner of speaking.
許せ。
良い天気だな。
She on the Beatrice that speaks to Battler is more like she speaks just like Jessica does and Battler does with the Z at the end of the sentences, and this one is
なるほど。陽気に心を奪われるのもわかるというもの。
this one is more
紅茶
polite.
はここで飲むか?
So
わらわは何者なのか。
今紅茶を持ってくる。しばし待て。
紅茶
feels
は良い。
like
わらわの話に付き合え。
よかろう。
Kinzo had used the excuse of getting black tea to try and interrupt the conversation for the time being, but his attempt had been very transparent. I sat in a garden chair and beckoned Kinzo to do the same. Kinzo sat down heavily, exaggerating his age. For a while we sat and appreciated the silence.
わらわは何者なのか、この問いに。今日まで答えてくれた者はおらぬ。なぜか皆目をそらし、はぐらかす。そなたとは長い仲だ。わらわはそなたを無二の友であり、そして父ですらあると思っておる。
I'm trying to think.
どうか教えてほしい。そなたは知っているはずだ。わらわが何者であるかを。
なぜにそのようなことが気になるのか。そなたはベアトリーチェ、この屋敷の主ではないか。それ以上の何を知りたいというのか。
Master of the Hidden Mansion, huh? The second master of Rokenjima. And it looks like she lost her memories.
なんだ、何が知りたいのか自分でもわからぬというのか。それは不可解な。若き日には出口なき思考の迷路にて遊びたくなることもある。そなたの悩みもそれであろう。
Kinzo laughed as though it was a trivial matter. However, I couldn't help but feel like this behavior was another attempt to force me to stop any further questioning.
やはりそなたもそれを語ってはくれぬのか。
語ることなど何もない。そなたはベアトリーチェだ。
So this links to the
それで十分ではないか。
to the silver-haired Beatrice, maybe.
いや違う。わらわが知りたいのは名前ではない。わらわが何者なのかだ。わらわは誰で、何で、いつからここにいて、そしていつまでここで日々を過ごせばよいのか。
This feels very, very
やはり紅茶を持ってこよう。
bad.
せっかくの陽気がもったいないとは思わぬか。
これは何の話だ。どうや
Oh,
ら
Battler's
お
looking.
前の昔話のようだが。
そのようだな。まさかここまで遡るとは。
Why is she showing the past to Battler?
自分は誰なのかとはまた。えらく高尚な悩みをお持ちのようじゃねえか。
無理もないわ。
This feels weird.
当時のわらわは自分が何者なのか、何のために生きているのかを理解できなかった。
And now you know.
ま、誰でも思春期になると、
But isn't
自分の生
she
きる意味とは何ぞやみたいな 哲学的な悩みに一度は囚われるものさ。
Isn't she Kinzo's mistress, though?
お前にもそんな微笑ましい時期があっただけという話だろ。
But I've already theorized that she might be a hidden granddaughter. Still, I don't know what to think here.
わらわは生まれた時からその屋敷におった。そして屋敷の中だけで生きた。
Oh no, oh no. This doesn't feel fine.
もちろん庭には出られたが、敷地はとても高い柵で囲まれており、それを出ることはできず。
And did the servants know about this? I guess so, because she was speaking of it.
厳しく言われておった。
Mustn't leave.
わらわはな、屋敷と庭は自由に歩けたが、その外へは自らの意志ではたった一歩出ることさえ叶わなかった。
What is Kinzo doing?
そりゃどういう意味だよ。物心ついた時からずっとカゴの鳥だったって言いたいのか？
He's basically keeping her there as a slave. That's what she's mentioning, Battler.
そういうものだと思っていた。何しろ気づいた時からそういう生活だったからな。疑問にも思わなかった。
お前一体何者なんだ？
She's your cousin, I think. That's what I'm getting from the whole situation. Not by yeah, she's your cousin, but from a different branch of the family. From the mistress side. That's what I'm thinking about.
それよ、それこそわらわもまた望んだものだ。
どうせ人間ではなくて魔女でしたって言いやがるんだろ？
いや違う、まだ違う。いや、かつてそうだったと言うべきか。わらわは金蔵によって作られた。人間によって作られた人間だ。
So his daughter. That's what she's. Or furniture. I don't know. Think. Is this going to be some homunculi, artificial humans, test tubes kind of situation?
いや、肉でできた檻とでも言うべきか。
Oh, I see. Break free is the motive.
なんだよそりゃ。妙な話を言い出しやがって。
どうせそなたは信じぬだろうがな。まずは聞け。わらわは1000年を経た偉大なる魔女である。
1,000 years.
しかしある時、金蔵によって呼び出され、
And was confined in a cage.
その秘術にて永遠の虜となるよう縛られたのだ。
そりゃ初耳だぜ。
This is like some kind of carrying the torch from the old generation kind of stuff.
後宮家で知られてる話では、お前はじい様に呼び出されて悪魔の契約みたいなのを結んで黄金を授けたってことになってるぜ。
うん。それは正しい。
Yeah, the gold still doesn't fit well. Only if the mistress and not Beatrice gave the gold to Kinzo, and Beatrice is either his daughter or granddaughter.
そしてわらわは黄金を授け、契約の終わる時まで姿を消すはずだった。しかし、まあモテる女の辛いとこよな。金蔵はこともあろうか、わらわに恋をした。
じい様も金眼が進んでたんだろうよ。ついでに乱視だな。よりによってお前に惚れるとはよ。
Oh, she doesn't like that.
まあわらわにとっては迷惑この上ない話よ。しかし人間の力とは恐ろしいものでな。あれは恐ろしい力を発揮してわらわをこの地へ釘付けにしたのだ。わらわが首を縦に振らぬ限り解放せぬと言ってね。
Oh, Oh no. Kinzo, what the hell are you doing?
なんとも強引な男よ。
すげえじゃねえかよ。
Nah, that's not.
じいさまがオカルトかぶれなのは誰もが知るところだが、
If
大魔女
watching,
ベアトリーチェ様を釘付けにするほどの力があったとはな。
if what she's implying is true, then
バカバカしい。
Kinzo tried to, you
そんな
know.
おかしな話信じると思うか。
やはり信じぬか。
Kinzo, you know, tried to rape Beatrice, maybe?
俺が信じるのは、お前が森の中の秘密屋敷に隠居していたって事実だけだ。
No, the more I hear about Kinzo, the more I hate the guy.
お前こそが六軒島の中級人目なんだろう。
いかにもそなたの想像通り、ここは六軒島の森深く、外界からは見つけることもかなわぬ隠し屋敷。その名もクワドリアン。
そういや、ゲストハウスの
Quadorian.
正しい名はトライアンだって聞いたな。
Quadorian Torayan.
なるほど。ネーミングセンスは近いな。そしてお前はそこに隠居していたじい様の愛人。そうだな。
愛人というのは正しくない。
Mistress.
金蔵の片思いであったと言うべきだろう。
So he wanted consent.
先ほども話したであろう。あれが勝手にわらわに惚れた。そしてわらわに求愛したが、それをわらわは拒んだ。
That doesn't seem to be the case, since you were locked in a mansion hidden in an island as his slave. This doesn't feel. This whole situation feels a bit concerning, to say the least.
そしてわらわをこの隠し屋敷へ閉じ込め
Since
たのだ。
birth.
屋敷に閉じ込めたというのは正しくない。
So she was basically his daughter, and he tried to.
この体に
God
閉じ込
fucking
め
damn it.
というべきか。
最後が何を言ってるのかわかんねえぜ。
どうせそなたはバカにして聞かぬであろう。何しろ魔女も魔法も信じぬという。語れど聞く耳を持たぬというならば、
I'm thinking of human terms actually
それ
instead
を
of
口に
the
するは愚の骨頂だ。
instead of her whole sidetracking to magic.
信じるかどうかは俺が判断するぜ。聞かなきゃ話も進まねえしな。話せよ、お前の昔話を。
Melody.
金蔵はわらわに求愛を拒まれたが、それ式でへこたれる男ではない。どうあってもわらわの首を縦に振らせたかった。わらわをこの屋敷へ閉じ込め、わらわを口説き落とそうと永遠の時間を費やしたのだ。
So maybe not.
強引なやつだな。しつこい男は嫌われるだろ。
求愛に応えるかどうかは別にして、男をそこまで必死にさせるのは、まあ女としてそう不愉快ではない。しかしわらわは決して首を縦には振らなかった。なんとかその戒めから逃れようとしたが、あれの結界は強固で破れなかった。
それで
様々な抵抗を試みた結果、
Hmm.
金蔵の結界から逃れるには肉の体を捨てるほかないという結論に。
Suicide?
肉体というものは魔法を語る上でとても制約の多い器なのだ。
I see how it's going.
肉の体を捨てる？
Suicide.
なんだよそれ。幽体離脱みたいなものか？
まあそんなものと考えればよい。しかしわらわは精霊ではない。魔女ではあっても、もともとは肉の体で生まれ落ちた人間だ。そのわらわにとって肉体を捨てるということは死を意味するほどではないにしても、それに準ずる覚悟が必要だった。
それはつまり自殺することでしか解放されないと決意したって意味なのか？
God fucking damn it, Kinzo, what the hell? kind of getting what's happening here.
自殺ではない。あくまでも肉の体を捨てるだけのこと。
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that.
魂だけになるのは心もとない。魂は肉の体を出れば太陽の強い風に絶えずさらされてしまう。それによって吹き散らされないように自らを維持するのはわらわとて容易なことではない。
So what I'm getting at, translating into a human story without any fantasy, which I'll do it many times during this whole read, is that Kinzo tried to rape Beatrice. She was locked in here all her life, and then she tried to commit suicide to escape.
できることなら避けたい最後の手段だった。しかし金蔵の結界から逃れるにはそれしかなかったのだ。何しろわらわは自由人。金蔵の生が果てるまでカゴにて飼われるのはごめんというもの。
I couldn't see this stuff Beatrice kept going on about throwing away her body of flesh as anything more than suicide. Grandfather persistently courted her, and to escape from that, she chose her own death.
それで自殺したってのか？何を言ってやがる。当のお前はそこでのんびりガーデンチェアに腰掛けてるじゃねえか。
That's what I'm saying.
そうだ。
It's not the Beatrice. Maybe.
それこそが金蔵によって与えられた新たな檻だったのだ。
檻？この屋敷のことか？
違う。そこのガーデンチェアにてくつろぐわらわの体のことだ。金蔵は魂となって抜け出そうとしたわらわをそれでもなお逃すつもりはなかったのだ。いやいや恐ろしいやつ。普通は片思いの女が死んでみせれば100年の恋も冷めるであろうに。
So she tried to commit suicide but failed.
だからこそあれも魔術師の端くれなのか。
Maybe one of the servants stopped her.
さっぱりわからねえ
Maybe
魔女小僧で煙に巻くな。
Trying to translate this into a human story.
金蔵は魂となったわらわすらも逃さなかったということだ。人間の思いというやつは恐ろしい。これほどまでの魔力を発揮するとは。死者の魂をつなぎ止めるなど、それを専門に弓道する魔術師でもおいそれと至れぬ境地よ。わらわはそれを知るからこそ金蔵の恐るべき魔力にその時初めて驚愕した。
So how does this tie into either Rosa or Shannon being the culprit?
そして金蔵は
Or one of the main
わらわの魂を
people
捕まえ
to suspect?
連れ戻したのだ。だが魂を捕らえておく檻は鉄でも鉛でも作れない。ただ一つを除いて。
なんだよ、魔法の檻だとでも言い出すのかよ。
Maybe
違う。わらわやそなたのようなこの肉の体だ。肉と血でできた檻だけが魂をこの世につなぎ止める。金蔵はわらわの魂をわらわと瓜二つに作り上げた肉の檻に。
要約するとこういうことか。じい様がしつこく求愛するんで嫌になり自殺したがうまく死にきれなかったってことだろ。回りくどい言い方しやがってからに。
いいや違う。わらわはホムンクルスの種子に魂を閉じ込められ試験管の中より生まれ入れたのだ。
はあ？バカバカしい。そんなのあるわけねえだろ。
生命を生み出す奇跡すらも金蔵は成し遂げたのだ。わらわの魂を閉じ込める檻にするためだけにな。
So it's a roundabout way of saying that she's his daughter and she's basically your aunt.
己の恋心だけでこれほどの魔力を見せるとはつくづく恐ろしいやつよ。
もうさすがにバカバカしくなってきたぜ。好きなだけ言ってろってんだ。俺は何も信じねえぜ。勝手にやってやがれってんだ。
Oh,
なんだその不愉快な態度は。
oh, she's showing her past and Battler is dismissing it.
最初は何か重大なヒントが隠されているだろうと多少の興味を示したが、聞けば聞くほどおかしな話になっていく。
She's trying to show him her motives, but it isn't getting across.
魔女を否定するゲームのはずなのに、いつの間にか魔女話を鵜呑みにさせられていく気がするぜ。悪いがこれ以上耳を貸す気はねえな。勝手に好きなだけほざいてろよ。耳クソでもほじってるからよ。
Oh, look at that. Look at her look. Look at her face. Oh. Oh, that's not good. When I start acting cold, Beato seemed unusually discouraged. Of course, her expression was still shameless, but isn't that really easy to understand expression of hers? I had that feeling I was able to catch a glimpse at the loneliness at my failure to find the story of her past interesting. For some reason, that subtle reaction made her seem pitiful. So even I thought I kept my careless attitude, I decided to cover for her slightly. Damn it, even though she's an irritating witch, I'm still weak against her because of her chromosomes are XX.
ま、信じる気は毛頭ねえけどよ。続けろよ。お茶菓子代わりに聞いてやるぜ。
わらわの身の上話が茶化扱いとはな。
Oh shit.
そこまでこき下ろされてまでのこのこ語ると思うか。
After I made fun of her, Beato reacted a little sensitively. It looked like even though making fun of people was her specialty, she was horrible at being made fun of by others. Oh. Just then my black tea cup suddenly made a sound, surprising me.
お嬢様の魂は捕らえられ、新しい生命の檻に吹き込まれました。
Ronove, let me ask you, were you there in the past?
それはつまり、お嬢様が再び人間として生を受けたということです。
Before I realized it, the demon butler had taken my cup and was adding more black tea to it.
ロノウェ、もうその話はよい。
I think I understand what's happening there.
こやつはバカバカしくて危険と言うでな。わらわもバカバカしくて話す気にもならぬ。
新しいクッキーを今焼かせているところでございます。それまでお茶菓子代わりにお嬢様の昔話がちょうどいいかと思いまして。
もうわらわの話は良いというのに、揃って不愉快な奴らだ。わらわは席を外すぞ。ロノウェ、給仕を済ませたらとっとと下がるのだぞ。バトラと無駄話などするでないぞ。
Oh,
かしこまりました。
she's acting a bit different this time around.
努力いたします。
Oh no, is this the Gap Moe starting? Oh no. Oh. Beato's short temper peculiar to women, which I didn't really understand, took hold of her, and she turned her body into gold butterflies, scattered and disappeared. After that, only Ronove and the scent of black tea were left.
なんだか俺が怒らせたみたいで
No need to feel bad. No need to feel bad at all.
ご自覚が
No matter how
あるよう
much
ですので、
she
これ以上
tries,
申し上げることはございません。
no matter how much she tries to show you her motives, still, the things she done, man, it's not worth it.
ちょっと待てよ。とどめを刺したのはお前だろうが。
はて、何のことやら。お砂糖とミルクはいかがですかな？
Man, Ronove.
ミルクだけでいいぜ。あと、お茶菓子も欲しいな。
クッキーが焼けるには、まだ時間がかかりますよ。
チャカの代わりがあるって言ったぜ。
かしこまりました。ご清聴をいただけるのでしたら、続きをお話しいたします。
ホムンクルスがなんとかって言ったな。
Winching gold.
一応は知ってるぜ。あれだろ、錬金術だかで作り出せ人造人間のことだろ。
はい。お嬢様の魂は、ホムンクルスに閉じ込められ、再び赤子となって生を受け、しかし、赤子でございますから、金蔵様が愛を語ろうとも、それは無駄なことでございます。
So what I'm getting is that he tried to have a relationship with his own daughter.
まさかじいさまはその赤ん坊をこの隠し屋敷に
Raised as his lover.
同じ年に成長するまで閉じ込めたってのか。
God damn it. Oh no. Oh, this is so bad. This is so bad. Kinzo, you're such a piece of shit.
そのまさかでございます。
So he basically, yep.
しかし、魂は同じといえど、人間の魂はその器に
So
強
he
く影響を
basically
受けま
groomed
す。
his own daughter. That's what I'm getting at.
お嬢様は、かつての記憶をすべて失われ、ごく普通の人間の少女として成長されました。
それが、そこのガーデンチェアに座ってるベアートだってのか。
はい。
And then his daughter
その通りでござい
tried
ま
to
す。
commit suicide and didn't work.
まさに、うり二つに成長なされました。しかし、魔女としての力は持ち合わせておりません。あくまでも、人間としてのお嬢様なのです。
I'm trying to understand why Kinzo. I think I know why. Basically, he had a mistress in the past that gave him the gold. He had a daughter with that mistress that was Beatrice, and then he tried to rape his own daughter. They're saying that she was not the same as before, and that's what I'm getting, if I'm trying to understand this correctly. Beato, who was sitting in the garden chair looking up at the sky, voiced the same question again. She asked who she was. The meaning of those words were finally starting to click. She couldn't understand why she was living here all locked up. Grandfather had seized Beatrice's soul, shut up in a body of flesh, and then shut that up in a hidden mansion. However, since she had lived here since the time of her birth, she couldn't even understand who she was, or why she lived shut up in there. Wait, who would take such a stupid story seriously? Why don't I change my interpretation? No, in other words, couldn't it be something like this? Grandfather met Beatrice. He then fell in love with her and courted her, but she didn't accept him. Then he flew into a rage and shut her up inside this hidden mansion. Beatrice tried to escape, but no matter what she did, she couldn't succeed. So she finally chose her own death. And then, no. Maybe there was a girl who looked just like Beatrice. No, a baby. Grandfather raised this child with care. Well, maybe he didn't view this child as his daughter. Yeah, that's what I'm getting. The soul was once again shut up inside of clay, in a cage of flesh. Those words probably meant that he didn't view this kid as her child, but instead as his past lover. Maybe that's what but as her reincarnation, maybe that's what it meant. If you interpret it in that way, even a story this weird might make a little sense. No. This might be some bullshit Beato cooked up to confuse me, as if I could accept any of this. In the first place, Quadorian was it? There was no proof whatsoever that a hidden mansion actually existed. Couldn't this be something she just fabricated on the spot?
六軒島の森の中には
Oh.
クワドリアンという隠し屋敷が実在します。それが今話をしていた場所。
So Ronove can use the red truth as well. Ronove used the red to say that Quadorian actually existed. Did that mean that the same thing as the red Beato used?
これでも悪魔の端くれでございますので、お嬢様には内緒にしてください。
Oh my god, his voice is so good. Beato, who knew I would try to trip her up, had grown extremely cautious when using red. The thing that Ronove could also use the red, however, it was the red of a crafty man. I didn't know how far I could accept it. But anyway, I might be able to get some kind of hint out of it.
このクワドリアンの庭でくつろいでるベアトとさっきのじい様との会話は真実なのか？
Wait, let me see the red again. A hidden mansion. Okay.
はい、真実です。かつて実際にこの場所でお二人はこのような会話をなされました。
助かるぜ。さらに赤で頼む。あいつホムンクルスから生まれたなんて言いやがったが、そんな非科学的な魔法的存在実在するのか？
その問いかけにはお答えできません。理由はステイルメイトになるからでございます。
ステイルメイト？なんだそりゃ。
チェスの用語で千日手のパーペチュアルと同様にそれ以上のゲーム進行が不可能になる宣言です。これは千日手とは正反対で、指し手がなくなるある種の手詰まりの状態を指します。パーペチュアルに同じでチェスではこれを引き分けにしております。ただしお嬢様とバトラ様のゲームでは引き分けがございません。ですのでステイルメイトになる質問には赤でお答えすることができないのです。
Renove's voice is so good.
よくわからねえこと言って煙に巻いてるが、つまりホモンクルスなんて魔法的存在が実在するって赤で
Because
言え
that
ない
would
か
be
らご
trying
ま
to
かしてる
prove
だけなんだ
magic
ろ。
with red.
仮に私が赤で魔女は実在すると言ったらバトラ様はどういたしますか？
He would try to refute it completely, and then the rule would be off, and then everything would fall apart.
それを信じるか信じないかで俺たちは大喧嘩してるんじゃねえかよ。それを言われちまったらゲームオーバーだ。
魔女は存在すると赤で申し上げたならバトラ様には反論の余地がありません。しかしバトラ様はその理由が示されない以上それを受け入れないでしょう。しかし赤で語られる以上反論の余地もなく証拠も示されない。この場合敗北を認められないにもかかわらず反論の手がなく手詰まりとなってしまいます。チェックメイトされていないにもかかわらず次なる指し手が存在しない。バトラ様が次の一手を打てない以上お嬢様に手番が回ってくることはなくゲームはそこで永遠に止まってしまう。その結果お嬢様があなたを屈服させることもできない。これが手詰まりの状態です。それを回避するためこのような形になるご質問には赤でお答えすることができないのです。
早い話が身も蓋もない質問は禁止だとそう言いたいわけだな。まあそりゃそうだよな。赤で魔女は実在するって言われちまったら俺は鼻からお手上げだぜ。
ご理解いただけて助かります。他の形の質問でしたらご協力できるかと思いますよ。
奴がはぐらかした副賞要求には答えられるか？この島の人数だ。
お嬢様が保留されている副賞要求にももちろん答えられませんよ。 お嬢様の家具でございますので、出過ぎた真似はできかねます。
Ronove made an exaggerated gesture, trying to act like a loyal retainer. This guy's so shameless.
一瞬でも使えるやつと思ったのによ。諦めて他の質問を探すか。そうだ、大事なことを確認するのを忘れてた。これはベアとの思い出話なんだろ。いつの話なんだ。まさか現在ってことはないだろ。
はい、ここは1967年の世界、19年前の世界でございます。
19 years in the past. Let's try rearranging this story again. I wonder if it couldn't be something like this. Grandfather fell in an unrequited love with a person called Beatrice. Then he confined her in this hidden mansion and continued to court her, but she was stubborn and didn't give in. Eventually, she grew pessimistic about being able to escape from here and probably committed suicide. And then her soul was put in a homunculus, and no, if I accept that, it's the same as accepting the witch. I can interpret that part like this. She probably has had a posthumous daughter. Grandfather must have believed that her soul had been placed in a new physical body, and I have thought that the child was the reincarnation of Beatrice. That means at least 19 years ago, Beato existed on this island as the 19th person. No, you're in the correct. You're in the correct.
混乱してきたぜ。いずれにせよ、憶測の域を出ない。
We can't do more than speculate. Are you talking about me?
確実に赤で言えることは、1967年の六軒島の隠し屋敷に人間としてのベアトリーチェが存在した。それだけだ。
その通りでございます。1967年の六軒島の隠し屋敷に人間としてのベアトリーチェ様が存在した。
ああ、サンキュー。助かるぜ。
おめでとうございます。これでバトラ様の19人目の駒は、その存在がはっきりしました。バトラ様が熱望された18人以外に罪をなすりつけられる19人目の人間。
And now that 19th person is your aunt. And she is your family. Though not so close as the others. And she's been either raped or attempted rape, and she tried to commit suicide but wasn't able to. Oh man, this is hard. So you have to blame that sort of woman as your culprit. Maybe.
いかなる罪をもなすりつけることのできる生贄の羊。
And I don't think that she is the culprit, actually.
それがお嬢様とは実に愉快。
Sacrificial, yep, a sacrificial sheep. That is your family and was tormented in the past and might not even be the culprit. You're so fucked, Battler. Ronove laughed indiscreetly. Somehow I didn't like how he put that, so I didn't feel like laughing along with him.
そうだ、ローザおばさんは言った。
So the Beatrice and the human culprit might be two different people, actually. That's what I'm thinking about.
ベアトリーチェは死んだ？私が殺した？どういう意味なんだ？
それは私の口から語るよりも実際に顛末をご覧になった方が早いでしょう。
And what's left is her ghost, and then Rosa took on her personality, maybe?
少々時計を進めましょう。
And then Rosa committed the murders. Ronove pulled a stylish pocket watch from his pocket and touched the watch stem. As soon as he did, I saw gold butterflies gather behind his back and take the form of a person. Is that Rosa? The human... was it Beato? Quickly realized that it was someone else. No, it was her. Is this Lucifer? I think. That oldest sister of the 7 stakes who loved tormenting me more than her 3 meals a day. If I don't consider myself lucky to see that sexy ass, I won't be able to keep up with their torture game. Yeah, it's Lucifer. I was confusing her with Satan.
少々バトラ様とのおしゃべりが過ぎたようですね。それではバトラ様、私めはどうか引き続きお嬢様とのゲームをお楽しみください。
I want to see more of the Seven Sisters actually.
せいぜい楽しむぜ。あんたはベアとより話が弾むからな。赤も気前よく使ってくれるしよ。ぜひまたおしゃべりに来いよな。
バトラ様、私めもこう見えてもお嬢様の影。お嬢様が望まぬことはできませんよ。私が語った赤は本来ならお嬢様が自らの口で語るべきもの。
Oh my god, this music is so good.
お嬢様に代わって赤き真実を披露したに過ぎません。
Or maybe
へそを曲げてたよな。
maybe I don't know. I don't know. Seeing me and Ronove incomprehensibly hitting it off, that steak Nei-chan cocked her head curiously.
Ronove様、ベアトリーチェ様をお待たせしております。お急ぎを。
ええ、直ちに参ります。それではバトラ様、後ほど。ようやく仲良くなれてきましたね。やはり良い友人になれる気がします。
Yeah, I see where you're going with this, Ronove. I see you.
ベアとの陰口仲間ってことならな。
ロノウェ様。
はいはい。それでは失礼いたします。
I don't think so. He's going to do a massive betrayal later on. I can feel it. Maybe she didn't like seeing him act so friendly with me. Or maybe she really had been told to hurry. The steak Nei-chan let out a thunderous cry. Ronove laughed frivolously and disappeared as if running away. Oh.
煉獄の七杭が長女のこの私がこの程度の用事で呼びつけられるなんて。ベアトリーチェ様もこの程度なら他の暇そうな妹たちに言いつければいいのに。
What is this? Beato-sama. Beatrice.
何をカリカリしてんだよ姉ちゃん。腹減ってんならクッキーでも食えよ。
Bastard.
最後の一枚をくれてやるぜ。
Oh, Bastard is so good.
気が利くじゃない。なら一ついただこうかしら。
Oh, I casually pushed the snack plate with the last remaining cookie over to her. Oh, her face. Ah, yeah, that was to be expected. You're like Ethan from Resident Evil 7 and 8, getting dissipated and decapitated and whatever. As though coming as a period at the end of a sentence, a sharp sound pierced the table. The nails on 3 of her fingers extended, grew sharp, and pierced the space between my fingers on the hand that was pushing the plate, missing them by a hair's breadth, so you didn't lose your hands or your limbs. It happened in an instant, so for a while I didn't even realize that her fingernails had grown. The tips of those sharp nails were like blades with a red manicure. The space between the bases of my fingers hurt sharply. Those razor-like blades had been plunged into the table a hair's breadth away from the back of my hand and my fingers. Because of those 3 blades, I was unable to even let my careless right hand tremble, and by now all I could do was let a bead of cold sweat drip down.
姉ちゃん、そろそろ爪を切った方がいいぜ。
ルシファーよ。それが誇り高き私の名。ベアトリーチェ様にお仕えする名誉ある家具。他の面汚しなグマイどもとはわけが違うの。
Oh, talking shit about your sisters now?
それに見合った敬意を示さないと後悔することになるわよ。
She's what? She's bride, I think? Or maybe Raph? I don't remember.
どう後悔するんだか。俺には見当もつかねえぜ。
I think she's pride.
バカな子ね。そんなに遊んでほしいの？
Oh?
そんなに忘れられないの？
Oh?
私の悔いを思いっきり
Oh my
奥
god.
の奥までねじ込んでたっぷりえぐって楽しませてあげる。
What is this dirty talk right now?
クソったれ。いつか押し倒して同じセリフ言ってやるぜ。
No! No, Battler, what are you saying?
あらそう？楽しみにしてるわね。
Oh. Rosa eventually regained her calm. The man wanted to hurry her into talking faster, but Kyrie intervened. If something like this really had happened, then it would be a terrible experience that Rosa wouldn't want to remember. After taking several deep breaths with her hand over her chest, it seemed that she had more or less resolved herself to talk.
あれはいくつの時だったのかしら。多分中学生か。よく覚えてない。とにかくそのくらいの頃だったと思うわ。
ってことはだいたい20年くらい前ってとこか。
あの頃の私はあまり成績が良くなくて、いつもお母様に怒られてばかりだった。私なりに努力していたつもりだったんだけど、お母様の期待には全然応えられなくて。
母上はローザにも随分厳しかったな。当時は同情していたよ。
No.
陰口ばっかだったくせによく言うわね。
予算かエヴァ。それでローザさんはどこでベアトリーチェに会ったんや。
秀吉さん、今はせかしてはダメよ。いいのよ、ローザさん。楽に話して。ありがとう。あれはお母様に特にひどく叱られた日よ。
Even though my tutor had promised to keep it a secret, apparently they told Mother all about how I had complained. Mother scolded me brutally, saying my name was a disgrace to the Ushiromiya family. Of course, I was doing the best I could, but I had none of Cross Nissan's dignity. I couldn't get excellent grades like Eva Nissan. I had no leadership abilities like Rudolf Nissan. Never stood out, didn't particularly excel at anything. I found myself asking why I'd even been born into the Ushiromiya family. I began to question more and more why I'd even been born at all. This is what happened on the day I experienced my mind going blank for the first time. The first time in my life. I realized that in addition to facing or surrendering to my problems, I had a third choice of running away. Though I say run away, there was no way I could have left Rokkenjima and gone somewhere else. But anyway, I wanted to run away from the mansion and my own self at that time. In a way, it was like a kid running away from home, or maybe a passive sort of suicide.
いなくなりたかったの。あるいは、いなくなることによって、親を心配させたいという子供なりの反抗だったのかも。私は、森の遥か奥に行けば、後宮の家から逃れられる。あるいは、迷子になって心配させることで、仕返しができると、子供ながらに思ったの。
それで行ってはいけないと言われていた森に？
ええ、浜辺へ出てから海に沿うように。特に理由があったわけじゃないけれど、島をぐるりと回ればその反対側には誰も知らない場所があって、私だけの隠れ家になるような気がしたの。
浜辺からぐるっとってのは無理だな。途中で崖になっちまうだろう。あんなとこ通れるわけがねえぜ。
もちろんよ。だから通れる方へ通れる方へ、とにかく奥へ奥へ進んだわ。道なんかないひどい森だったけど、あの時の私にはそれが心地よかったの。それほどの険しい森を抜けたならそんな気持ちだった
情けないわね。成績で叱られたならその分努力すればいいのに。
それを言ってはいかんね。その代わりローザにはデザイナーとしての才能があったじゃないか。
Literally speaking, he was covering for Rosa. But everyone knew that Rosa's company hadn't been profitable.
よせよ。今は嫌味を言ってる場合じゃねえぜ。そして偶然たどり着いちまったんだな。ベアトリーチェの隠し屋敷に。
Rosa nodded weakly.
どのくらい歩いたんや。地図で場所が示せるんか。夏さん、この島の地図はあるかいな。
いえ、今ここにはありませんが。
無理よ。適当に歩いただけだもの。地図を見せられたってわからないわ。それにあれから20年も経ってる。多分森へ行っても二度とたどり着けないわ。
Several people let out dejected sighs. It was vividly clear that in their haste they thought some hint related to the witch's epitaph. Or maybe even the gold itself might be resting there.
六軒島はこの屋敷の周りが整地されているだけに過ぎねえ。他は完全に未開で、前頭測量は相当の手間がかかるだろうな。
でも確かに存在すると分かっただけでも収穫よ。お金はかかるだろうけど、例えば航空写真の会社に調査を頼むとか、このお屋敷を建設した業者に当時のことを聞くとか、調べる方法はあるかもしれないわね。そうね。あるかないかもわからないものを探すよりはまだ方法があるはずよ。
早速調べる価値があるだろう。
その調査は兄弟合同でやるわよ。兄さん一人ではさせないわ。
It wasn't yet certain that the gold was hidden in a secret mansion, but the sparks seemed to have started flying between Cross and Ava already.
兄貴たち、今はよせよ。ローザ、続きを話してくれ。
Blindly, randomly, I kept running on and on. Suddenly, I came across something I thought it was an animal trail. I was very tired and had no idea how far I'd walked, so at that time I naturally took the easiest path. Then you found Squadorian. As I did, suddenly, right before my eyes, a very, very tall fence appeared. It was a fence wonderfully adorned with a Gothic style. For an instant, I thought I'd gotten turned around and returned to the original mansion. Of course, there were fences around the mansion to stop us from entering the forest, but this fence was decorated differently, and moreover, it was very tall. It probably reached a full 2 stories up. Was covered with ivy and created a mysterious, solemn atmosphere. At the time, I believed the legend of the witch of the forest, Beatrice. I had been told that she was frightening, but some of the servants told me that she'd sometimes help you if you respected her. Since I had little confidence in those days, I believed the only way I could be saved was by receiving her help. That's why I thought what I did. I believed that this was the fence of the mansion belonging to Beatrice, the witch of the forest. I thought that if I could meet with Beatrice, she'd definitely save me. So I decided to try going in. The fence was very, very tall and didn't look like I'd be able to go over it. So I chose to walk around it. I thought that if I did, I'd eventually reach a gate. But it wasn't that easy. The fence had incredible length to match its incredible height. No matter how far I went, it didn't reach a corner. It might have encircled a massive area. Or maybe I just had that impression because my child's legs made it difficult to walk in the forest. Anyway, I couldn't find a gate for a while, and I started to feel sad, as though the witch had rejected me. As I did, I eventually came up upon a large tree whose twisted root had bent the fence. It might get my clothes dirty, but if I crawled, it looked like I'd be able to sneak in.
そこが隠し屋敷だったの？あれが私たちの言う隠し屋敷なのかはわからない。でも少なくとも私たちの知る場所ではなかったわ。
It wasn't as though I came out into a garden as soon as I passed the fence. I had to continue through a lot more uncultivated forest after that. As I did, the forest suddenly opened up, and what appeared there was an unbelievably fantastical scene. To think that on Rokkinjima, where I thought only we lived, there could be such a wonderful mansion hidden away. Beautiful flower garden spanned the front of the mansion. It was a flower garden of a completely different design from the rose garden we know so well, and it was very lovely. Of course, the mansion was also wonderful. It was a couple sizes smaller than ours. It was still elegant and adorable at the same time. Then I saw her figure. I saw her sitting in a garden chair, positioned to give a view of the flower garden, wearing an elegant dress. It was that black dress embroidered in gold that we would later know from that portrait. I hadn't seen an elegant dress like that except in fairy tales and on the stage of musicals. For a person to be wearing it as her normal clothes, that in itself seemed quite fantastical. That mysterious scene was enough to make me lose my sense of reality. If someone had told me then that it was a dream, I might have nodded obediently and waited to wake up in my bed. I had forgotten to hide myself in my shock, so she eventually spotted me. First, her expression was quite listless. When she noticed me, her eyes opened very wide. It was only natural, considering that a guest she didn't know of had suddenly appeared. I lowered my head automatically, planning to greet her and apologize for entering without permission. Those were the first words she said to me. I grew slightly calmer, because I realized that we could talk to each other. Because I hadn't been turned into a frog by just meeting her eyes, like a terrifying witch in a fairy tale.
ごめんなさい。勝手にお庭に立ち入って。すみません。そなたは誰か名乗るがよい。Ushiromiya Rosa と言います。
I see.
Ushiromiya.
God damn it, Kinzo.
おお、Kinzo の一族の人間なのか？
And you're one of his family as well. Come on. Oh, this is so bad.
はい、金蔵の娘です。こんにちは。
And she's your and she's your half sister. I was a little surprised. After all, father was a great man, feared by everyone. And yet, she had spoken of him without using honorifics. So I was immediately terrified of her. After all, if she could refer to my fearsome father that way, she must be a witch with incredible power. After staring at me curiously, she beckoned me to come over. Frightened as I was, I obeyed. After all, I thought she might really turn me into a frog. The closer I got, the stronger that fear became. After all, as I keep saying over and over, a woman in her dress and the flower garden and the mansion. The whole picture was so fantastical and beautiful that it seemed to be separated from reality. Probably wouldn't have surprised me at all to learn that she was really a witch. And I was really lucky she hadn't turned me into a frog. As I awkwardly stood there, stock still, she motioned to an open chair and urged me to sit down.
座るがよい。
Oh, look at this. Oh, this is good. Spikes on the fence.
初めて訪れた者を庭へ招き、語らうのがわらわの唯一の楽しみよ。他に何の楽しみもないがな。
Look at her voice. And she said this. She let an unhappy smile show for an instant. Because I was full stranger with a mix of tension and excitement, I rudely asked her a question all of a sudden.
森の魔女、ベアトリーチェですか？いかにも。わらわがベアトリーチェである。
やはりな。ベアトリーチェは実在したんだ。
その姿はまさに肖像画の。
ええ、まさにあの肖像画の通りよ。
お父さんの想像の中の魔女じゃなかったんやな。
それであなたは彼女と何を話したの？
彼女はお茶を入れながら私のことをいろいろと聞いたわ。まず森を抜けてやってきたことを驚かれた。彼女は柵の外には危険な狼がたくさんいると信じていたみたいだった。だから私が森を抜けてたどり着いたと言ったら、
So that's a story Kinzo told her to keep her away from leaving.
どうやって狼から逃れたのか、ビスケットを渡して許してもらったのか、それとも魔法の街灯をかぶってなんて感じのことを言ってたっけ？
そりゃ確かに魔女っぽいわな。面白いお人や。
あなた黙って。ずいぶん昔だけど、お父様は森には狼が住んでいるから近寄ってはならないって私たちを脅さなかった？
ああ、そんなこともあったな。バカらしいね。日本の狼はとっくの昔に絶滅しているというのに、まさに子供騙しだな。
Yep.
記憶にねえな。そんな話親父に聞かされたっけ？森には魔女だろ？狼なんて話聞いたことないぜ。
あんたがまだ小学校だった頃よ。覚えてない？そしたらあんたむしろ狼を撫でてみたいなんて言い出すもんだからお父様はすぐに狼の話を引っ込めて魔女の話に切り替えたのよ。もうその嘘っぽいことと言ったら
Oh my god.
当時のルドルフには狼よりも魔女の話の方がてきめんだったね。
Oh.
よく覚えているよ。私の背中にしがみついた夜があったことを覚えているかね。
ルドルフさんにもそんな可愛らしい時代があったのね。
うるせえな。子供の頃の話だぜ。
まあとにかくベアトリーチェを閉じ込めていたのがお父さんなら、同じ狼の話をするのは道理ね。彼にとって六軒島の広大な森は後宮家と愛人の屋敷という相入れない二つの異世界を分断する越えてはならない壁だったのだから。
柵の高さを考えると、どうやら親父殿は庭ごと丸々を座敷牢にしたようだな。さながら二つの世界を分ける国境も同然だったのだろう。
狼はともかく野犬の類でもいたのではありませんか。そのための柵だったかもしれません。
Nope.
六軒島に狼も野犬もいないわ。その柵は兄さんやキリエさんの言うようにベアトリーチェと私たちの間の国境だったんでしょうね。
しかし狼の話を素直に信じるなんて、なんちゅうか純朴やな。わしの想像していた魔女とは随分違う感じやで。
She's a slave. That's the problem.
そうね。それは私も感じたわ。とても尊大で、確かに魔女のイメージ通りの人だったんだけど、どこかとても子供っぽくて、なんていうのか素直すぎるというか、世間知らずな印象を受けたわ。例えるなら本当におとぎの国の人みたいというか、本当に不思議な人だったわ。
So she was raised there since birth, so maybe no serious education, maybe.
それからどうしたんだ。親父の話とかは出たのか。
ええ、何日かに一度。約束されている日もあれば突然の日もあったそうだけど、ふらりとお父様が訪れては一緒にお茶を飲んだり散歩したりしたんですって。私が訪れたその日はたまたま彼女一人だったと言っていたわ。
なるほどな。まさに愛人といったところだ。やれやれ、いくつ年下か知らんが親父殿もやるね。
Oh no. She's your sister. And that's disgusting. That her own father would.
いかがわしい意味での交流はなかったと確信しています。
バカね。男と女の仰せに色気がないはずないじゃない。それでどうしたの？それから何の話を？
私の自己紹介をしたので逆に彼女のことを質問したわ。そうしたら急に雰囲気が落ち込んでしまったの。
Yeah.
なんていうのか、とても気だるそうな、寂しそうな、私が初めて彼女の顔を見た時に浮かべていたのと同じ表情だった。
まあ秘密の愛人だからな。好き勝手に歩かれてお袋に見つかっちまったらことだ。きっと軟禁に近い状態だったろう。綺麗なドレスに綺麗な屋敷や庭があってもさぞや窮屈な思いをしてたんだろうぜ。そりゃ苦労もあったろうさ。それで
彼女はきっと何か悩みがあった。それを私に話したところで何の解決にもならない。私もとても悲しかったのを覚えてる。私と一緒にいることさえ忘れてしまったかのようで、遠くをぼんやり見ながらずっと無言でいたわ。私はきっと失言してしまったに違いないと思ったんだけど、謝罪の言葉すらも口にしていいような雰囲気じゃなくて、だから私も彼女が私と一緒にいることを思い出してくれるまでずっと黙ってた。
Man, imagine living your life since childhood only having Kinzo to talk to. Holy shit. That would be depressing. And then she murdered unexpectedly. No wonder she tried to kill herself.
柵の向こうには
Far.
本当に狼などおらぬのか。
This is a new track.
はい。狼なんて動物園でも見たことないです。動物園とは何か。ああ、いろんな動物が飼われているところです。
象とかキリンとかパンダとか。
Oh, look at her face.
動物園に狼はいないのか？なら怖くないかもしれんな。
狼がいたとしても動物はみんな檻に入ってますから安全です。だから安心して見学できるんですよ。
The mighty witch of the forest was apparently terrified of wolves. I remember it looked pretty funny to me at the time.
それはわらわとどう違うのか。
She didn't know about Zeus, explained how fun Zeus could be, but it was very difficult for a person like her, who never visited one, to understand. On the contrary, as I explained it to her, her expression grew increasingly dismal. She couldn't see the difference. Apparently, even though she lived in an elegant mansion that was surrounded by a high fence and seemed to lack for nothing, she couldn't see how she was any different from an animals shut up in cages.
わらわは何者なのか。皆はわらわのことをベアトリーチェと呼ぶ。それは確かにそなたの言うように偉大な魔女の名前らしい。しかしそれはわらわではないのだ。わらわには魔法など何も使えぬ。わらわはその魔女の魂を好みに封じられているだけなのだ。
There was definitely something odd about her. Beyond just being cut off from the world, it seemed that she truly believed that magic exists. I think she talked about lots of weird things, but I didn't remember the details. All I thought was that this might be a person to be pitied. She was unable to leave this mansion of her own free will, a prisoner without even realizing it. And she didn't know anything about the outside world, didn't even try to understand who she was, didn't even understand who she was. She probably vaguely realized that she was to be pitied. But since she didn't know anything, she seemed incapable of recognizing her own unhappiness. Long ago, when I told Ne-san that I felt sorry for a bird in a cage, she said this: "A bird that only knows about the inside of the cage doesn't long for the outside." But this wasn't a bird. She really was a person. Even if she'd never been outside the cage, she understood that there was more to the world. So I invited her.
柵の外へ出てみますか？
本当に狼はいないのか？
いないですよ。
I'm trying to pose a question now.
出たいぞ。だがいつも門は閉まっている。
私が入ってきたところがあります。くぐり抜けられる隙間があるんです。
そこを抜ければ外の世界があるのか？
No.
狼は本当にいない？
はい、いませんよ。
I'd only planned on inviting her to go on a short walk, but she kept looking over her shoulder at the mansion as though she was seriously worrying over the decision. Then I learned what she was preparing herself for.
わらわはもうここは嫌だ。外へ。そしてわらわが何者で、この世界はどうなっていて、わらわは何のために生まれてきたのかを。
I didn't know what her life had been like before then. It was probably something she couldn't express easily. If it was harsh, she just had to say she wanted to escape. If it was sweet, she just had to say she'd stay. For example, it was like how a hot fireplace on a winter day makes the air get thicker and thicker, giving you a headache. Even though you know you shouldn't keep things the way they are, you still need the courage to open the window and be tormented by the cold wind. She was starting to realize that she couldn't stay there forever. She was starting to realize she had to go outside someday. Since she didn't know about the outside world, she must have needed the courage to take an unspeakable first step outside. And despite that, she made it her decision. She'd voiced her decision to go outside, a decision that she was probably making for the first time in her life. I hesitated for a moment. Father had decided that she should live there. She was like Father's beloved bird in a cage. If I just let her escape, Father might scold me harshly.
見たい。何を？動物園が見たいのだ。
Oh my god, her face is so cute! I was just a little surprised when she finally gave me a gentle smile. Could it have been farsightedness brought about by her decision to venture out from her cage? A smile so gentle I couldn't imagine that it had come from that once dark face.
そなたと話すと知らないことばかり出てくる。わらわは学校なるものもわからぬし、動物園も知らぬ、映画館も知らぬ、遊園地も知らぬ。そしてそれを知りたいと心の底から思う。
Oh no, I'm feeling sad.
そなたはわらわをそこへ連れて行ってくれるのか？
So I'm going to pose a question for the viewer right now. If you were, let's say, someone approached you and said that your entire life had been a simulation and you could have, it's like the pill, would you take the pill or not? Live happily in a simulation or leave, despite the uncertainty. It's like what Beatrice is experiencing. I was nervous about how I could keep it a secret from Father. Her face looked so happy, so I went along with her and nodded. But she seemed not to notice the meaning behind my vague smile. She seemed to believe that I'd really take her to all those places. She was pure and genuine. She'd probably never been tricked by anyone. No, maybe it's better to say that she'd never learned how to doubt. Her smile was somehow radiant and yet pathetic. I wanted to find a way to grant her modest wish.
わらわはもうベアトリーチェは嫌だ。わらわが何者なのか知りたい。ベアトリーチェではない新しい人間を始めたい。だからここから連れ出してほしい。もう紅茶もいらぬ、ドレスもいらぬ、金蔵とも二度と会わぬ。ここよりわらわを連れ出してくれ、ローザ。
However, that responsibility was one that a child like me couldn't hope to fully bear. Still, when I saw her serious gaze, along with a brilliant smile that made it look as though possessing spirit had left her, I could feel a little courage start to rise up inside me. This was definitely something that would get me into a lot of trouble, and yet it was definitely the right thing to do. I'll take her out. I'll take her away from here. Of course, I wouldn't be able to talk to Father and not Mother either. Should I talk to Onisama or Onesama? No, I'm that reliable Genji-san. Or, that's right, what about Kumasawa-san, to whom I can always talk when I'm in trouble? I'm sure they'll be able to do something. Anyway, for now, I'll take her out of here. This was already a place she didn't want to be. So, I took her to the crack in the fence and led her outside. She was all nervous, checking to make sure there were no wolves around. But once that fear disappeared, even just walking around in this dense forest seemed to be fun somehow. Every time she found something, she'd ask me about it. They were all really trivial things. What's that flower? What's that leaf? And that sound, and that smell. It really was like the inside of the fence had been her entire world. So now that she traveled beyond the limits of her world, it's strange. When I first saw her, I really thought that she was the witch herself, relaxing inside the witch's mansion. Now it was different, or actually the complete opposite. She'd left a world she believed to be finite and was overjoyed at the realization that the world was endless, something that she never thought of before. So everything she was so everything she saw was new. It was almost as though she was the one who had been thrown into a fairy tale. If she was Alice, then I felt almost like a rabbit holding a watch. To her, it was probably a really fun walk, filled to the brim with excitement, but I was actually at a loss at what to do. After all, I walked randomly to get there. Of course, I didn't know the way back to our mansion. There were no lights in the forest and I hadn't brought a flashlight. I realized it would be terrible if it got dark while we were still like this and grew impatient. She was too innocent, and apparently she couldn't understand all that frightening it would be to face the night inside the forest. But I was the one who brought her outside. I had to take responsibility somehow and resolve the situation. So I had a thought. Let's go out to the ocean for now. If we then follow the beach around, we should eventually make it back to the mansion. However, that was much more of a problem than I imagined. Oh, I see. I didn't have a map or a compass. There was no way I could walk in a straight line through an uncultivated forest, and I immediately lost my sense of direction. So that's how you killed Beatrice, by leading her into a forest, and she innocently... I don't know. I see. I already had no clue which trail I had come by and was completely lost. At this rate, night would definitely fall before I had a clue where to walk. This was no time to cry. After all, that woman following behind me was so innocent and having so much fun. So I definitely had to lead her the way through this forest, for the sake of her smile as well. Gritting my teeth so that she didn't see me looking troubled, I pushed my way through the woods, advancing down a path that wasn't a path. Then, after going through various troubles, I fortunately managed to reach the ocean. At that time, I still didn't even have a clue where I was on the island. But for the time being, I was just reassured, realized that if I just went around this way, I would surely be able to return to the mansion. However, though I had reached the ocean, we were on top of the rock cliff. Oh, did she fall? The beach was far below us. I was tired from walking around the forest for so long, so I figured that an open area, even a rocky beach, would probably be much easier to walk in. So I suggested that we go down that rocky cliff somehow. Oh, it looked pretty dangerous, but I figured there was no other way. However, Beatrice agreed to my plan without any doubts. Even though she was probably older than me, she meekly obeyed, almost as though she was some kind of chick who thought I was her mother. Oh shit, I searched to see if there was a way, if there was some part of the cliff I'd be able to get down. Then I found a place where the cliff had fallen over and made a slope. It looked a little dangerous, but if I went down using both hands and both legs like I was crawling, I thought I'd probably be okay.
ここを降りましょう。気をつけないと危ないけど。とにかく海岸に降りて、あとは沿って歩けば、もう迷わずに済むと思うの。
うん。ローザがそうするのならそうしようぞ。わらわは迷うとやらも楽しいぞ。とても愉快だ。
She really had no sense of danger. There was probably no doubt that she'd lived a life without discomfort. Even though she knew it would get dark when night fell, she couldn't imagine how dangerous the inside of the forest could be without a light. Furthermore, it seemed that she couldn't grasp at all how dangerous it might be if she fell from the cliff. I warned her repeatedly to be careful. I cautiously examined our potential route down. It seemed to be quite a long drop. I think it might have been about 10 meters down. She looked at it from the bottom up. It probably had looked like shorter than the roof of the mansion. Looking at it from the top, it felt almost as staring down from the observation room on Tokyo Tower. But Beatrice still appeared to be completely without fear. It felt as though she had never been taught that high places were dangerous. No, maybe she believed that she was a witch, that she could fly, so there wasn't any need to worry.
気をつけてくださいね。結構高いから。
うん。気をつけるぞ。 下へ降りたら海があるな。そこに水族館があるのか。
いえ、この島には水族館はないですよ。でも海にはたくさんの魚がいると思います。
そうか、魚はいるのか。そなたが話してくれたクジラとかイルカとかペンギンとかはいるのか。
いえ、そういうのは水族館に行かないといないです。水族館は島を出ないとないですよ。
そうなのか。だが楽しみだ。クジラとはどんな魚なのか。
すっごく大きな魚で、あれ、哺乳類かな。それで潮を吹いたりします。
ほう。ならばイルカは？
頭のいい魚で、あれ、これも哺乳類だっけ。とても頭が良くて芸とかを覚えられるんですよ。
ほほう。ならばペンギンはどうなのか。
あれ、これは鳥類だっけ。
なんだ、水族館なのにさっきから魚が出てこんぞ。
まあその魚だけでなくいろいろな海の生き物がいっぱいいるんですよ。
はほう、それはとても楽しみだ。
Oh. Oh, no, I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this. She let out what might have been a funny, rushed, and short cry. No, it was probably a scream. Came right out of the blue. Her body separated from Cliff and silently fell. I immediately wanted to say something to her. To say, didn't I tell you to be more careful? It was the thought of a child. It was how a child immediately gets mad when something bad happens, trying to find an excuse to show it wasn't their fault. Of course I said it out loud. Are you okay? Didn't I warn you to over and over? Oh, shit.
それで崖から落ちてどうなったんだ。
彼女はどうしたんだ、ローザ。
Rosa fell silent. Her great gaze dropped to her feet, as though she was seeing through the floor into some disgusting memory.
死んだのね。
It was brutal words, but the ones Rosa had most wanted to avoid. And when she was hit with them, she screamed in resignation.
死んだわ。岩浜だったもの。尖った危険な岩がたくさんむき出しになっていた。目を見開いたまますごい血が溢れ出して、たちまち真っ赤な絨毯を広げていった。声をかけたわ、揺さぶったわ。でも彼女は返事はおろか、瞬きすらも。いいえ、まぶたを閉じることさえしてくれなかった。私が悪いのよ。彼女はドレス姿だったのよ。あんな動きにくい格好なのを知っていたのに、私が壁木を降りようなんて言ってしまったから。彼女はすごい素直だったから、私の言うことに何の疑いもせずに従って。
いつまで死んでいるつもりか。いい加減に目を覚ませ。まったくわらわの預かり知れぬところで勝手に肉塊に姿を変えようって。
おめえのとこの太もも姉ちゃんとイチャついてただけだぜ。それよりこれはどういうことだ。
見たままよ。わらわは足を踏み外して転落し死んだ。
なんだと。19人目として登場しておきながら死んだだと。
So what I'm getting is that might be that Rosa has a split personality that imitated
ふざける
the
な。
witch.
そんなわけはない。ローザおばさんは子供だったし焦ってた。医者がいたわけでもない。多分死んだと誤解しただけで。お前は多分 仮死状態か何かで生きていたんだ。そうだろ。
It can't be true. She's got to be alive. Otherwise, how can she be here? The kid-aged Aunt Rosa shook Beatrice's body, crying. I stared into that face too, but her eyes were still open, and it really was a corpse. I wanted to dodge the issue by saying something vague like, she must have been playing dead. No matter how I looked at it, it didn't look fake at all. It really did look like she was dead. Beatrice had fallen upside down from a cliff of that height, and her head had smashed against the pointed tip of those sharp rocks. You wouldn't die, wouldn't you, after landing on those rocks from that height? But I couldn't accept it. No matter how dead she looked, she had to be alive. Then she went on to become this damn irritating witch that makes all the inconsistencies fit. My father must have kept her confined constantly in a hidden mansion. Then, to take revenge for that, she committed several atrocious murders. Aunt Rosa probably just mistakenly thought she was dead, but she was actually alive, and as soon as Aunt Rosa left, would miraculously breathe again. Then she somehow lived on until today and opened the curtain on her revenge drama. Otherwise, the facts don't fit together.
そう簡単には騙されねえぞ。赤で復唱できるか。確かに死んだと。
Here, she died. Here, right now, as she fell.
どうせ生きてるんだろ。見え見えだぜ。
それのどこが生きているように見えるというのか。間違いなく死んでいる。
It's definitely dead. What's dead? My theory that the 19th person was grandfather's mistress, a human Beatrice, had been defeated. I had planned to strike back from a defensive position, but...
なら、お前は何者だってんだ。お前はたった今、死んだんだろうが。まさか魔法で蘇ったとか言い出すんじゃねえだろうな。
すでに説明したと思うがな。そこに倒れているわらわは確かに魂はわらわだが、その体はわらわをうつしおへつなぎ止めておく肉の檻に過ぎなかったと。そしてその肉の檻がこうして壊れた。それがどういうことかわかるか？
もうさっぱりだぜ。
I think I have an answer, but
好きなだけ。
I'll keep quiet for now. I'll keep it quiet for now.
チャカの代わりに聞いてやら。なんだ、空っぽか。おい、紅茶のおかわりを頼むぜ。
ロノウ、客人が紅茶を望む。
When Beato clapped her hands, Ronove appeared. Butlers sure are convenient.
おかわりですね。かしこまりました。どの程度お継ぎしましょうか。
どうせチャカがボリューム満点だろうからよ。半分でいいぜ。
それでもなみなみとお入れするのが英国式でございますよ。
Even though just enough to wet my throat would have been fine, he filled it to the top. I turned my back to Beato, sipping it in silence.
ちょっと目を覚ましてよ、ビアトリーチェ。
Rosa shook me. No, shook the corpse that had once been me. I watched over her from a short distance away. Ah, so I fell from there and died. For a while I believed that was true. I saw Rosa spend a long time beside my corpse and watched her as she ran away. Eventually I realized that was a different individual from that corpse.
そうか、わらわか。ようやく金蔵の戒めから逃れられたのか。
And you reward Rosa with that delicious feast last episode, huh? What's it all about? Eventually, I felt the memory returning. In fact, I was an endless switch. who had lived for 1,000 years. I remember that I've been summoned by Kinzo and that I've been imprisoned by him for a long time. While being imprisoned in a cage of flesh, I completely lost my memory as a witch. However, thanks to Rosa, if you could say that, thanks to my accidental death, I now finally regained myself.
Rosa, そなたはわらわを死なせてしまったと後悔しているだろうが、わらわにとっては感謝したいくらいよ。
I couldn't see Rosa anymore, and now she is returning with the new way of speaking. Couldn't see Rosa anymore. Did she go to call on doctor, or was she so terrified that she ran away? It no longer matters. That soulless shell no longer has any value, and yet I'm so frail now. Even this glorious midday sun is agony to me. I destroyed my human form, and I changed it to several gold butterflies. Yes, with my magical power as frail as it now, this form is easier to maintain. To escape even a little from the light of the sun, I rode the wind and gently flew up the side of the cliff. It will probably be a bit cooler in the forest. Anyway, I'll take some time to recuperate and regain my former power, as I ponder on how to make Kinzo pay up all he owes me. Dancing along through the air, I looked down at the shore one more time. The rocky shore, like the figure of what had once been me, the figure I would eventually regain. To regain the form of that physical body I had thrown away, it'd probably take more than 200 days. And it might require 1,000 days, or perhaps even more. However, I am the Endless Witch, the Golden Witch who has lived for 1,000 years. Waiting any countable number of days would be no problem. Oh, Kinzo. Forget that you are not here now. No longer will you be able to capture me. Ha 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 ha. Well, the little laughter.
それで、お前は黄金の蝶に姿を変え、森の中に潜んで魔力が回復するのを待った。ってのか？
This is a long chapter.
そういうことだ。そなたを嘲笑するためにこの姿を取るが、本来は蝶たちの姿でいた方が魔力的には楽なのだ。
無理しねえで楽な格好でいやがれよ。ムカつく笑い声を聞かずに済むぜ。
Oh, Voiceless. Oh, shit.
蝶に姿を変え、森に紛れたわらわを探し出すことなど、もはや金蔵には不可能なこと。
So Kinzo went back and didn't see Beatrice anymore. Searched the whole forest with his servants and couldn't find Beatrice, and she was dead. And then Kinzo regretted it ever since, calling for Beatrice to return. Oh, so that's how it is.
だが、金蔵も指を加えているわけではなかった。しかし、わらわを捕らえる方法はすぐに用意はできぬ。そのため、まずはわらわをこの島から逃さぬ方法。そして、わらわが力を取り戻すことがないよう、即座に手を打ったのだ。やれやれ。とにかく金蔵の執念深いことと言ったら、想像を絶する。あれに惚れられるのも、なかなかに辛いものだぞ。
It's not love, it's obsession.
蝶になったお前を逃がさない方法？
The mirror.
なんだよ。森全体に蚊帳でも張ったってのか？
それを魔法的に行ったのだ。そなたは知っておるか？船着き場の先の洋上に岩礁が浮かび、そこに小さな東洋魔術の祠があることを。
And then Shannon broke that.
今年はなくなってたけどな。昔、修験者が作ってったとかいう祠なんだろ。
Shugenja.
六軒島は元来
That's a
歪
priest,
んであ
right?
る島
Or
で
some
ございます。
sort of.
魔力的な存在やそれに類した存在を引きつけます。お嬢様もそんなうちのお一人でございましょうね。紅茶のおかわりはいかがですか？
いただこうぞ。それらは人間たちに害をなし、おそらく数々の不気味なる伝承を残してきたであろう。それを聞きつけた東洋魔術師が古代に設けたのがあの祠なのだ。長い時間を経てその力は失われておった。金蔵はそれを修復することで島の結界をよみがえらせ、わらわを再び島に縛り付けたのだ。
西洋魔女のお前に東洋の
Maybe
魔法なんて
Rosa
通じるのかよ。
Maybe Rosa told Kinzo about it, and then Rosa was stuck on the island for a long time. And that's why I'm still riding on Rosa having a split personality.
本来は相性が悪い。しかしわらわを封じたいという目的においてはある意味都合が良かっただろうな。
Then again, if Rosa told Kinzo that she killed Beatrice, then Kinzo would have killed Rosa. I don't think that he would commit a murder. Yeah, he would have.
わらわも西洋魔術であれば心得がある。どのような結界であっても何かの手が打てたであろう。しかし東洋魔術は専門外よ。わらわが飲まんとするスープに対しスプーンではなく箸を与えられたようなものだ。
東洋魔術が強く支配する空間では西洋魔術はひどく力を失います。ただでさえ1000日はかけたであろう力を取り戻す時間をさらに長くかけねばならなかったのです。
それで約20年かけて魔力を取り戻し、今こうして蘇ったって言いたいのか？
辛く長い年月であった。わらわは黄金の蝶の姿のまま長く日々を送り、金蔵の屋敷を見つけ、奴の日常を見守った。どのように仕返しをしてやろうか、それを思案することだけを日々の楽しみに生きてきた。わらわにとって幸運だったのは、金蔵はわらわを探し出し捕らえるあらゆる秘術にことごとく失敗した点だったか。人間に起こせる奇跡の数などたかが知れている。わらわをあれだけ長く捕らえていただけでも十分に身に過ぎた奇跡だ。そう何度も捕らえられてはたまらぬわ。
じいさまが前のゲームだかで言ってたな。魔法は確率的奇跡に宿る。
うん。金蔵はわらわを再び捕らえる秘術を探るうちにそこに行き着いたのだ。そして13人の生贄を捧げることでわらわを再び蘇らせる儀式をついに編み出したのだ。
So he created a riddle.
13人の生贄。
To find the gold.
それが魔女の碑文、生贄の歌でございます。第1の番に6人、第2の番に2人、そして第4の番から第8の番にかけて5人。
And then the odd third twilight.
合計13人の生贄を捧げる禁じられた儀式。その生贄はランダムに決められ、儀式を執り行う金蔵自身も例外にはなりません。
バカ野郎。この島で起こったあの凄惨な殺人が全部おかしな儀式だっていうのかよ。
I'd have a vague idea that this might be the case, but I couldn't just hear that it was it was true from a witch and a demon and say, "Oh, really?" and accept it.
六軒島には18人いる。13人が生贄に捧げられ、5人だけが生き残る。そしてわらわはよみがえる。つまり金蔵がわらわに再び会える確率はだいたい3分の1といったところか。その確率に自らの命を落とし、残りわずかな寿命の最後の一瞬にわらわとの再会を望んだのだ。
そのふざけた儀式のために俺たち親族が集められたってのかよ。ふざけやがって。いい加減なことを抜かすんじゃねえ。
もとより契約の通りだ。金蔵の生を終えるとき、貸し与えた黄金と、そして金蔵が生み出した財産のすべてをわらわがもらい受けることになっておる。金蔵には散々に英雄を飲まされたが、今となってはこの1000年でも稀な時間だった。何しろ魔女の天敵は退屈よ。それから逃れることのできる数十年間を提供した金蔵には、なるほど、それも含めて借りがあるやもしれぬ。
Not liking where this is going. Now the story.
わらわは金蔵のゲームに乗ることにした。そしてまず、金蔵はUshiromiya家当主の指輪をわらわに返却する。
By not liking, I mean that I hate Kinzo with every second that this game continues. Oh
わらわの
god.
黄金で復興させた家だからな。そして、
He's worse than
13人の
George.
生贄を気まぐれに決めるの
10
だ。
times worse than
そし
George
てそ
right
の過
now.
程で、お前たちが右往左往し、わらわに立ち向かおうと様々な人間模様を見せてくれることは、わらわにとって非常に愉快なことだ。
And if you solve the epitaph, it all stops.
わらわはこの金蔵のゲームを実に気に入っている。
ああ、そんな魔法話は絶対信じねえぞ。じゃあお前は誰なんだ。お前は崖から転落して死んだんだろうが、魂が抜け出して蝶になって森へ。そんなのあるわけねえだろうが。だがお前はここにいる。誰だってんだ。お前こそが19人目じゃねえのかよ。
そうであるな。わらわこそが19人目であろうな。
No.
だがダメだぜ。全然ダメだ。
Oh, she's stealing from Battler. Oh, red.
この六軒島に19人以上の人間は存在しない。
There are no more than 18 humans. Oh shit.
なんだってってことは18人プラス X の X は存在しないってのかよ。
Oh, your devil's proof has been defeated.
俺が取ったコマ X は存在しないってのかよ。
Your devil's proof is over. Get fucked.
そういうことになります。
And Beatrice is one of them.
実にご愁傷様ですよ。しかしお嬢様は手が
Or
早
maybe
いですな。
Beatrice is already dead.
もう少し泳がせて最後にひっくり返すものとばかり思っておりました。さてバトラ様、
Oh
もう
shit.
結構ですか。
いらねえよチキシャオ。俺は信じないぞ。18人の中に犯人がいるわけねえ。じゃあお前は何なんだよ。どうしてここにいるんだよ。
And she's just readily throwing that she's one of them out there for Battler, and he still doesn't understand.
19人目が存在しないってんなら、お前は18人の誰かの幻想だって言うのかよ。
That's what she's saying.
そなたにとってしぶしぶとではあっても、18人の誰かを疑うことが最後の逃げ道。しかしわらわはここからが難しいのだ。そなたはなりふりさえ捨てれば18人もの人間を自在に犯人に仕立て上げられる。その18人の駒をくぐり抜け、わらわを認めさせチェックメイトに至るのは
実に難しいことよ。
そんなことするもんか。18人の誰も疑わない。疑いたくない。またここに追い込まれちまったのか。畜生畜生畜生。
Come on, Battler. Take a step back and think.
いよいよ終盤戦のようではないか。もう逃げ場はないぞ。お前の大好きな18人を疑いたくないだろう。わらわがそれをかぶってやるぞ。なのになぜわらわを拒むのか。序盤は本のように、中盤は魔術師のように、そして終盤は機械のようにさせとな。これより詰めるぞ。
The opening like a book, the middle game like a magician, and the end game like a machine. Yeah.
ゆっくりじっくり。いや、それともそなたにふさわしく一気に畳みかけるのが良いのか。そなたにはそれが似合うだろう。そうしよう。
Oh, her voice. So
す
good.
でにそなたの苦手とする攻め方も知り抜いておるわ。
Beatrice has Battler once again on the ropes. Battler. Unfortunately, Battler, for you. Oh, is this the showing? Is this before the Twilight? Kennen is alone. Oh, but it's Genji. Oh, Shannon and Joy again on the... Oh, please let the siblings survive. Let like at least Rudolph, at least Kirei. I know that Ava will survive because it's focused on her story this time around, I think. Rosa might die though. Goda's in the mansion. Maybe the... oh, you know what? Genji, Maria, all the cousins might die this time around. All the cousins and Genji and Kennen in the guest house. Maybe they'll die this time around, and then the adults will play the game. Oh man, imagine that. That would be fucking amazing, actually. Just seeing the reactions of their sons and daughters dead. Where? It didn't show Kumasawa, did it? I don't remember. Neither Nanjo. Here comes the new Twilights. Who will die? Oh man, if the cousins all die, it's gonna be amazing. I'm saying it. The beginning of the ritual. Okay. Next time we'll see who died. Don't show me now. Don't show me anything. Okay. Okay. It's Kinzo. Maybe Kinzo will die, or maybe we'll choose random people around the house instead of putting them all together. That'll be interesting as well. As 6 people randomly. I think the rating, the whole rating the characters hasn't changed much. Beatrice, Battler, NES rank plus SS rank or whatever. Maria, Rosa, Burn Castell, Lambda Delta. What else? Ava. Yeah, all of them on S rank. I guess I could put Ronove as well. He's quite entertaining. Nah, still A rank, I think, maybe. But still, no. His whole trait, his whole personality is what I like to see. So he's in the start of S rank, in the tail end of S rank, I should say. Then for A rank, let's see. Which can I say? I'd guess Nazi. It's interchangeable between the siblings, Rudolph, Kyrie, Cannon. Starting B rank, I'd say Shannon and Jessica. They didn't have much screen time, so they're dropping a bit. The 7 Stakes and let's say Genji, and then finally Kumasawa. As for C rank, I'd say Cross at the first of C rank, then Hideyoshi, then Goda, and then Nanjo, and then George. He was in B rank, right? So I don't know, B rank for him, and then D rank, Kinzo, and maybe the goats. Yeah, the goats. Don't let Kinzo be alone in D rank. And that's it. Thanks for watching.